So this presentation model is ideally presented to the Cincinnati Reds coaching staff. Action. Finding Motivation in the Game of Failure by Nico George. All right, so as we know, the regular season in baseball is longer than any other professional sport, 162 games. And if you include a postseason run or a successful postseason run, that's another 15, 20 games. So my goal is to give you guys some tools that would to be passed down to the team that would not just lead to a successful regular season, but a successful postseason run. The idea behind it is that we can use these tools to help these players have success and growing success in their games through the season, not just tools to make it through the season, but tools that can grow and prosper and lead to better ball throughout the season. And I mean, at the end of the day, the best team on paper rarely is the last team standing. The last team standing is usually the team that gets hot late, that comes together in the big moments, and then has the resilience to play their best ball down the stretch. So first, the idea now is to build the framework. The most crucial aspect of this young and exciting team is molding this raw talent into superstars. I mean, we got just an unbelievable amount of young talent, most of who are heading into their second season. The idea behind it, of course, we want to assemble this team, and that leads to having successful baseball and winning team, winning culture for the first time in decades. To do that, we need to capitalize most specifically on this season. As you all know, the sophomore season is known as, let's see if he actually can hack it. And a lot of times, guys will have exciting rookie seasons and then just kind of fall off after that. Why it's so crucial this year is because with so many exciting rookies coming up last year, they have to have good seasons this year. It really can make all the difference. Answers the question, do they have it or not? My plan is to institute and provide reasoning behind why I think what could possibly be the key to it all. Self-compassion. Self-compassion? Yes, self-compassion. Through my research on baseball, I believe the most important aspect of the mental side of baseball is being able to deal with the failing over and over again. Obviously, the old adage, if you fail 70% of the time in baseball, you're a Hall of Famer. And it is an adage for a reason. I mean, dealing with failure is what takes down so many of great young players in the game. I believe actually sustaining that 70% is obviously hard, though, for many reasons. But I believe a tool overlooked when having to deal with that is self-compassion. How to use this tool. So obviously self-esteem, self-confidence, and the self-evaluation skills are all respected and crucial in this process of churning out a successful season, really in any sport or any activity even. I mean, those three elements are huge and factor in so many ways. But I believe self-compassion is the key in this instance. When everyone in a group buys into that individually, I believe the residual effects are what leads to a team firing on all cylinders for a sustained period of time. I think that's what is really pushing the bus. If you had to really identify what's the key there, I don't think it gets pointed out too often, but that's kind of what I think it is. And as research actually says, self-compassion is one of the best ways to cope with failure. Has a big role in the process of moving on, and is a powerful source that unlocks one's resilience. All three fundamental aspects of baseball. And self-compassion understood and executed leads to short memories, crucial aspect of baseball, a fighting mentality, crucial aspect of baseball, and when sustained, it can evolve into undying confidence that you can overcome anything no matter what, no matter how bad the slump is or how many errors you make, but the next one will be better. how to implement it to this team. My recommendation would be, as I said, self-compassion is the key. And the first speech that you all give come this spring training will be identifying and putting this into action. Emphasizing it earlier makes it easier for people to buy in. You know, if you bring it in later in the season, it's hard. Like, everyone will be like, why are we having a new philosophy 30 days into the season? But jump into it day one, it's easier to buy into. And here are some examples of how we can institute it on the team. First, notice the difference between that self-talk when that self-talk is motivational or when it becomes too hard on yourself. When it's overcritical, you consciously need to reframe that voice and remind yourself of the real logic at play. Everyone in this team works very hard. That's very evident, even to me. Hard work is not the issue. So when that self-talk gets overcritical, what I am suggesting is just really emphasizing to the team that, hey, you guys have put in the work to change the result. You got to trust in your work, trust in your process, trust in the preparation that this will change. A couple more examples. Writing and talking with teammates. There's lots of studies that show the value in processing things through a trusted conversation, as well as the process of writing things down. Just the process of working out those emotions through writing is shown to have great results. Having the ability to compartmentalize and just how to fundamentally understand the adversity you're dealing with and how to overcome them. It's just a really healthy process. Of course, identifying and reminding yourself of what you want, how long you've wanted it, and what you have gone through to get there. And for a lot of the players in this clubhouse, I know personally they've gone through a lot just to get here to Cincinnati. And it's crucial that just reminding yourself, all of these struggles I've gone through to get here, so I can break out of this 0 for 10 slump, or I can get back on the horse and pitch 7 quality innings. Dealing with the next setback or overcoming the current one is kind of the idea of it. Of course, Alon Leachman, pitching coach for the Reds, he grew up in a war-torn country, and after his high school years, he was able to get into like a D2 college, and again, overcoming all the odds, multiple career-ending injuries that he came back from, and then eventually got into coaching and has made a huge impact on this team. And then lastly, how would you treat a teammate? So take what you're dealing with, take how you're dealing with it and what you're saying to yourself, and think, if a teammate came to me with this set of problems, how would I handle it? And then you should handle it that way. Because oftentimes we're far too critical of ourselves in ways, if a friend, or in this case a teammate, were to come with us with that same set of issues, we would usually be far more kinder and intelligent with our responses or advice. So this all comes from an empirical study done from a Swiss sporting institute. They ran and evaluated multiple studies assessing mental health in sports and how to best deal with it, and what they came down with was the self-compassion. Some interesting findings outside of what might build my argument around, but they're right on track, is athletes higher in self-compassion reported more self-determined motivation and less needing that exterior motivation all the time. Emotionally difficult sports scenarios, baseball, mediates the positive relationship between self-compassion and well-being. And higher levels of self-compassion are associated with lower levels of avoidance-focused coping, which I think in this sport happens far too often. You got 162 games. You might as well keep your head down and keep going. and then 2 months later you're having a horrible year, horrible family life, horrible personal life, and that, bad coping. And self-compassion is clearly associated with better dealing with those things. The big red self-compassion machine. My call is instituting not only a belief in this team, but helping the best beliefs in themselves and each other. Giving them this tool as the focus, I believe it can make a big difference. A lot of these things the players all know, of course. I mean, none of this I'm saying is very revolutionary. What I'm suggesting, though, is putting all these things together under this big term self-compassion. It's just a lot more digestible. And having things like this under a labeled umbrella is really valuable when trying to teach them and coach them on all of these different levels, all of these aspects, from unwritten rules to things they've been told since they were kids, to what they're telling themselves, to what family members are currently telling them, to what position group coaches are telling them. And it's just all these things. But when you can start grouping them in terms like self-compassion, oh, I know that's this drawer. Self-compassion. When it's labeled, it's so much easier to compartmentalize and then act on it. Obviously, this team has no ceiling besides fear and self-doubt, which I'm sure every team deals with. And I don't want a sophomore slump holding this team back. The best way to counteract a situation like that is getting the entire team bought in on this new system of positive self-reinforcement and self-esteem through effective self-compassion. And that's it. Thank you very much.